Marge, we're not able to hear you if you're talking.
We're still not able to hear you, Marge.
Talking.
We can hear you now.
Really? Can you hear me well? Because it looks like my road's not hooked up. How clearly can you hear me?
It's not the usual clarity, but it's pretty good.
It's not very good. Hold on. I'll see if I can fix it. It should. It should. Got it. Okay. Hare Krishna Arav, Hare Krishna Chaitanya Nityanam, Hare Krishna Manya, Hare Krishna Brajaras Bhavana, Adri Raj, Shriyan, Vivan, Part, Maitali, Vamshi Haridas, Shriyan, Ritvik, Amba, Riyan, Tarani Radha, Aditi, Anvika, I said Siya, Saki Vrinda's here, Akshita, Nitai, Shaunak, Haribo. Well, good to see everybody. Sorry for the hiatus. Somehow I signed up for 7 weeks of travel and just got back. So it's a real pleasure to be back here with you, Cham. I hope it's been going well. I did check in on Facebook to see how it was, and I'm really grateful that you KTTVG'd. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Marge. Thank you, everyone, and welcome to you, Jem. First, I would just like to welcome Marge back from his travels. We dearly missed you, but we're so, so grateful that you're back and you joined UGEM right after you came. And grateful to everyone for keeping the transcendental vibration going. I'm going to send a few links in the chat. And if you're new here, you can find some resources that will help you in just 5 seconds. Okay. All right. So, like always, before starting UGEM, we like to make a prayer to set an intention for our meeting. So, having said that, would anyone like to make a nomination? for someone to make a prayer for this evening. All right, we've got Arav nominated and then Adriraj. Do we have a tiebreaker? All right. All right, we see Arav again. Okay, Arav, on to you to make the prayer for today.
Hare Krishna. Can you please post the format in the chat if it's not already there? Oh, yeah, it's there, sorry. My dear Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan, Shri Shri Gauranitai, Shri Shri Jagannath Baldev Subhadra, if you so desire, let this huge jam be successful and let everybody take away something which they can use in their daily life. Thank you for considering my request. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Arav. That was wonderful. All right. Thank you, everyone. And over to you, Marge, and how you wanted to lead the meeting.
What have you been reading lately? Since I'm 7 weeks away off schedule, maybe you can fill me in on what you've been doing and go right ahead. I have a section today. I'm supposed to speak about the 10 principles for determination, but maybe you can talk about what pattern you've been following lately.
Yeah, so lately we've been doing Chad and doing Sanskrit translations and then reading a purport. And then since it was Kartik month last month, we've been reading the commentary by Sanatan Goswami and doing 2 verses each week, and then doing a game related to Kartik month. So that was more Kartik themed, and now we're coming back to more of our regular schedule. Previously, we did verses, we did Prabhupada Lilamrita, or had a topic of discussion from any verses that we've read, maybe NOI. So that's all what we've been doing lately, and also just reflections towards the end as well.
And which chapter are you on in Chad?
We're on chapter 10. It's the second section. I believe it's a long chapter, so it's the verses after.
Sanskrit and then English?
Yes.
Shall we do that?
Yes.
Okay. How many each?
Maybe we could do 2.
I'll start.
Sure.
Vedanam Samavedosmi Devanam Asmi Vasavaha Indriyanam Anaschasmi Bhutanam Asmi Chetana Rudranam Shankaraschasmi Vitesho Yaksha Rakshasam Vasunam Pavakaschasmi Meru Shikarinamaham.
Please raise your hand, raise your hand.
पुरोतसां च मुख्यं मां विद्धि पार्थ बृहस्पतिं सेनानीं मामहं स्कन्दः सरसमस्मि सागरः महर्षीणां प्रकुरां गिरामस्मेकमक्षरं यज्ञानां जपयज्ञोऽस्मि स्थावराणामहम्यः
Ashwatha Sarvavrikshanam Devarsheenam Chanarada Gandharvanam Chitraratha Siddhanam Kapilo Munihi Uchchaishravasam Vidimam Amritodbhavam Airavatam Gajendranam Naranam Chanradipam
आयुधानामहं वज्रं धेनुनामस्मि कामधुक् प्रजनश्चास्मि कन्दर्पः सर्पानामस्मि वासुकिः अनन्तश्चास्मि नागानां वरुणो यादस्तम्
प्रह्लादश्चस्मि दैत्यानां कालकलयतामहं मृगाणां च मृगेन्द्रोऽहं वैनतेयश्च पक्षिणां पवनपर्वतामस्मि रामशस्त्रभृतामहं जशानामकरश्चास्मि स्रोतसामस्मि जानवी
सर्गाणामादिरन्तश्च मध्यं चैवाहमर्जुन अध्यात्मविद्यानां बाधप्रवदतामहम् अक्षराणामकारोऽस्मि द्वन्द्वसामासिकस्य च अहम् एवाक्षयकालो दाताहं विश्वतो मुखः
मृत्युसर्वहरश्चाहम् उद्भवश्च भविष्यतां कीर्तिश्रीर्वाक् च नारीणां स्मृतिर्मेधा धृतिक्षमा बृहत्सामा तथा साम्नां गायत्री छन्दसामहं मासानां मार्गशीर्षोऽहं ऋतूनां कुसुमाकरः
द्यूतं चलयतामस्मि तेजस्तेजस्विनामहं जयोऽस्मि व्यवसायोऽस्मि सत्त्वं सत्त्ववतामहं वृष्णीनां वासुदेवोऽस्मि पाण्डवानां धनञ्जय मुनीनाम् अप्यहं व्यासः कवीनाम् उशना कविः
दण्डो दमयतामस्मि नीतिरस्मि जिगीषतां मौनं चैवास्मि गुह्यानां ज्ञानं ज्ञानवतामहम् यच्चापि सर्वभूतानां बीजं तदहमर्जुन न तदस्ति विना यत् स्यान् मया भूतं चराचरम्
नन्तोऽस्ति मम दिव्यानां विभूतीनां परन्तप एष तुद्देश्यतः प्रोक्तो विभूतेर्विस्तरो मया यद्यद्विभूतिमत्सत्त्वं श्रीमदूर्जितमेव वा तत्तदेवावगच्छ त्वं मम तेजोंससम्भवम्
अथवा बहुनैतेन किं ज्ञातेन तवार्जुन विष्टभ्याहम् इदं कृत्स्नम् एकांशेन स्थितो जगत्
Om Tat Saditi Srimad Bhagavad Gita Upanishatsu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre Shri Krishna Arjuna Sambhade Vibhuti Yoga Nama Dashamodhyaya Hari Om. Inglés, por favor. Of the Vedas, I'm Samaveda. Of the demigods, I'm Indra, the king of heaven. Of the senses, I'm the mind. And in living beings, I'm the living force, consciousness. Of all the Rudras, I am Lord Shiva. And of the Yakshas and Rakshasas, I'm the Lord of wealth, Kuvera. Of the Vasus, I am fire, Agni. And of mountains, I am Meru.
Of priests, O Arjuna, know me to be the chief, Brihaspati. Of generals, I am Kartikeya, and of bodies of water, I am the ocean. Of the great sages, I am Bhrigu. Of vibrations, I am the transcendental Om. Of sacrifices, I am the chanting of the holy names, Japa. And of immovable things, I am the Himalayas.
Of all trees, I am the banyan tree, and of all sages among the demigods, I am Narada. Of all the Gandharvas, I am Chitraranta, and among perfected beings, I am the sage Kapila. Of horses, know me to be Ukshashava, produced during the churning of the milk of the ocean for nectar. O of lordly elephants, I am Airavata, and among men I am the monarch. Of weapons, I am the thunderbolt. Among cows, I am the surabhi. Of causes for procreation, I am Kandarpa, the god of love, and the serpents, I am Vasuki.
Of the many hooded Nagas, I am Ananta, and among the Quadics, I am the demigod Varuna. Of the departed ancestors, I am Aryama, and among the dispensers of law, I am Yama, the lord of death. Among the Daitya demons, I am the devoted Prahlad. Among the subduers, I am Time. Best among beasts, I am the lion, and among birds, I am Garuda.
Of purifiers, I am the wind. Of wielders of weapons, I am Rama. Of fishes, I am the shark. And of flowing rivers, I am the Ganges. Of all creations, I am the beginning and the end, and also the middle, O Arjuna. Of all science, I am the spiritual science of the self, and among logicians, I am the conclusive truth.
Of the letters, I am letter A, and among all the compound words, I am the dual compound. I am also inexhaustible time, and of the creators, I am Brahma. I am all devouring death, and I am the generating principle of all that is to be yet. Among women, I am fame, fortune, fine speech, memory, intelligence, steadfastness, and patience.
Of the hymns in the Sama Veda, I am the Brihat Sama, and of poetry, I am the Gayatri. Of months, I am Marga Shirsha, November to December, and of seasons, I am flower bearing spring. I am also the gambling of cheats, and of the splendid, I am the splendor. I am victory, I am adventure, and I am the strength of the strong.
Of the descendants of Vishnu, I am Vasudev, and of the Pandavas, I am Arjun. Of the sages, I am Vyasa, and among the great thinkers, I am Ushana. Among all means of suppressing rawness, I am punishment, and of those who seek victory, I am mortality. Of secret things, I am silence, and of wise, I am the wisdom.
Furthermore, O Arjuna, I am the generating seed of all existence. There is no being, moving or non-moving, that can exist without me. O mighty conqueror of enemies, there is no end to my divine manifestations. What I have spoken to you is but a mere indication of my infinite opulence.
Know that all opulent, beautiful, and glorious creations spring from but a spark of my splendor. But what need is there, Arjuna, for all this detailed knowledge? With a single fragment of myself, I pervade and support this entire universe.
Okay. Actually, pick out which verse you want to hear the purport to.
37.
You could read it.
The purport or the translation?
Do the Sanskrit word for word translation, purport, and then give a Bhagavad Gita class.
Okay. Vishnunam Vasudevosmi Pandavanam Dhananjaya Muninam Apyaham Vyasa Kavinam Ushana Kavi. Of the descendants of Vrishni, I am Vasudeva, and of the Pandavas,
Do the
I am
word for word too, Akshita.
Vrishninam, of the descendants of Vrishni, Vasudeva, Krishna in Dwaraka, Asmi, I am, Pandavanam, of the Pandavas, Dhanam, Jaya, Arjuna, Muninam, of the sages. Api, also. Aham, I am. Vyasa, Vyasa, the compiler of all Vedic literature. Kavinam, of all great thinkers. Ushana, Kavi, the thinker. Translation. Of the descendants of Vrishni, I am Vasudeva, and of the Pandavas, I am Arjun. Of the sages, I am Vyasa, and among great thinkers, I am Ushana. Krishna is the original Supreme Personality of Godhead, and Baladeva is Krishna's immediate expansion. Both Krishna and Baladev appear as sons of Vasudeva, so both of them may be called Vasudeva. From another point of view, because Krishna never leaves Vrindavan, all the forms of Krishna that appear elsewhere are his expansions. Vasudeva is Krishna's immediate expansion, so Vasudeva is no different from Krishna. It is to be understood that the Vasudev referred to in this verse of Bhagavad Gita is Baladev, or Balaram, because he is the original source of all incarnations, and thus he is the sole source of Vasudev. The immediate expansions of the Lord are called Swamsha, personal expansions, and there are also expansions called Vibhinamasha, separated expansions. Amongst the sons of Pandu, Arjuna is famous as Dhananjaya. He is the best of men and therefore represents Krishna. Among the Munis or learned men conversant in Vedic knowledge, Vyasa is the greatest because he explained Vedic knowledge in many different ways for the understanding of the common mass of people in this age of Kali. And Vyasa is also known as an incarnation of Krishna. Therefore, Vyasa also represents Krishna. Kavis are those who are capable of thinking thoroughly on any subject matter. Amongst the Kavis, Ushana, Sukracharya was the spiritual master of the demons, and he was an extremely intelligent and far-seeing politician. Thus, Sukracharya is another representative of the opulence of Krishna.
To say a few words. Anything you can relate to in the verse, the word for word, the purport, whatever catches your attention, you can say something about it. Try to relate one thing to another.
In the purport, it talks about how Vasudev is Krishna's immediate expansion, and it also describes how Vasudev is not different from Krishna and how that relates to Balaram, because Balaram is also an expansion of Krishna. So I thought it was interesting, and also they talk about Krishna's personal expansions and separated expansions, which they relate to Vasudev and Balaram, and then they also relate that eventually to Arjuna and then these people of Kali Yuga, which I thought that was interesting because then that relates to us, and the purport eventually relates that to us in this Kali Yuga, which I think is interesting because that just relates to everyone in this material world. So I thought, well, this verse just connects like many different things to one thing, which I personally think is interesting.
Thank you, Akshita. Very nicely done. Can you quote one verse from anywhere that relates to any of the points in this purport? Anything you can think of from the Bhagavad Gita, Sri Upanishad, Brahma Samhita, or anywhere else? Anyone else can help. Find a verse else in another place, Shastra, that's a supporting or connecting verse to any of the points you see in the purport for 20 points. Akshita, she's back, going strong.
The verse that I can think of at the moment is Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Nadiradir Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam, because that verse describes how Krishna is the original Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he is the He's the original, and I don't remember exactly, but it describes in the translation in purport how is the originator of all causes.
That's right. That's an excellent verse. Well praised. Well done. 20 points. Anybody else have another one? Maitali, go for it.
Oh, Hare Krishna Maharaj.
We
Maharaj, I
can't
was
hear you. Come closer to your mic.
oh, oh. Can you hear me now?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Oh, Hare Krishna. I was just thinking of how I believe it was Bhagavad Gita 14.4 where Krishna says Aham Bija Pratapita, which like he's saying that he's like the seed giving fathers. He's like the origin of everything.
Nice. And related to which point are you connecting to in the purport?
Where it was talking about like how Krishna has like the purport, it was basically explaining how Krishna has like different like he has like expansions and like plenary portions and how like he's in everything. So I thought like that verse like showed us how like Krishna is like the origin of everything.
Nicely done, Maitali. 20 points. Manya.
Hey Krishna. I was thinking about this verse from the Gita that comes from 7.19, and what caught me was when it says, Vasudeva Saramiti Sa Mahatma Sadurlabha. So it talks about how we take so many births, repeated births, and we finally come to the point where we surrender to Vasudeva, and that's the ultimate goal of life. And I was thinking that Krishna has so many expansions, but this Vasudeva is so important because our goal should be to surrender to that Krishna, who's known as Vasudeva. So I was thinking about that.
Thanks, Manya. Definitely 20 points. Did you quote the verse? Bahunam Jamanaman?
Yeah, Bahunam Janmanamante Gyanavan Mam Prapadyate Vasudeva Saramiti Sa Mahatma Sadurlabha.
Takes a lot of verse, huh? Okay, Arav, representing the whole city of Atlanta.
Hare Krishna. One verse I was thinking about was about how how Sri Vyasadeva Bhagavan is representation of Krishna. There's one verse before we recite the Bhagavatam that they usually say it's Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet. And then at the end of that verse it says to offer pranams to Sri Vyasadeva before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam. So that's what I was just thinking about.
Fantastic. Nicely done. 20 points. Chaitanya Nitai Nam.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. The part in the purport that said Krishna is the original source of all incarnations, thus he's the sole source of Vasudeva, that reminded me of the verse from Srimad Bhagavatam that in the third chapter of the first canto, where all the incarnations of Krishna are listed, there's one verse that says, Ete chamsa kalapumsa Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam Indrari Vyakulam Lokam Ridyanti Yuge Yuge. And it's basically saying the same thing, that all the incarnations listed in that chapter are either plenary portions or portions of plenary portions of Krishna, and he's the source of all those incarnations ultimately.
How important would you say that verse is?
I
And
guess
justify your answer.
I would say it's very important just because of the frequency I've heard it being quoted in, well, spiritual discussions and classes as well in general. So it seems very popular in that regard.
Yeah, it's the basis of the Sandarbhas and the presentation given by Jiva Goswami. It's the foundational verse that he's proving. Nicely done, Chaitanya Nitai Nam. Thank you very much. Brajaras Bhavana.
I was also reflecting on the name Vasudev. This is a verse said by the Prachetas. Dear Lord, we offer our respectful obeisances unto you because your existence is completely independent of all material influences. Your lordship always takes away the devotee's miserable conditions, for your brain plans how to do so. You live everywhere as Paramatma, and therefore you're known as Vasudeva. And you also accept Vasudeva as your father, and you're celebrated by the name of Krishna. You're so kind that you always increase the influence of all kinds of devotees. And it's just another meaning of Vasudeva, where he is one who resides everywhere.
Wow, fantastic. Thank you very much, Prajras Bhavana. Anushri.
Hare Krishna. This verse is a little less directly related, but I was looking at in the purport where it says that Vyasadeva is the greatest because he explained Vedic knowledge in many different ways for the understanding of the common mass people in the age of Kali. And I thought it was interesting that Krishna chose that um, as the greatest service, and it reminded me of the verse in the fifth chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Bhaktaram Nagita, where it says he's the ultimate beneficiary of all living entities and he's the well wisher of all living entities. So I thought it was interesting how he put so much importance on distributing this knowledge to the common mass people. Yeah.
Wow, that was a nice sequence you put together. Good sleuthing and presentation. Well done. Look at Atlanta's really jumping in today. Another representative, Haridas K. Go for it.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. So, um, in the purport, I saw that it was written that Krishna never leaves Vrindavan. So, in the purport of Madhya 13:149, Prabhupada says, Vrindavanam Parityajya Padamekam Nagachati. So I just was relating that here also it is written that in one sense Krishna, the original personality of Godhead, he never leaves Vrindavan. So I was just finding the connection that in the purport also it was written that in one sense Krishna never leaves Vrindavan. So that's the verse or phrase that I wanted to say.
Did you notice, Haridas, in the word for word, if you can scroll up just a little bit from our original verse, where it says Vasudevaha, Krishna and Dwarka. Would you care to comment on that? You're already on the same thread, so I just wondered if you wanted to comment on that nuance. And somebody put the definition and etymology of nuance, please, in the chat box.
Maybe that, like in the purport here, Prabhupada wrote that Krishna is never leaving Vrindavan. So, and everyone else, it may occur that Krishna is at some other place, but it's actually an expansion of the Krishna and Vrindavan. So maybe Krishna and Dwaraka is an expansion of Krishna and Vrindavan. So Krishna is still never leaving Vrindavan.
You're correct, sir. Well done, Haridas. Good way to think on your feet or on your chair, whatever the case may be. Okay, for the close, we've got Mayuri OKC.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. In the purport, I noticed how it said that Krishna is the source of, it like said that Krishna is the source of Balaramji. So like Krishna is the source of everything. So I saw in Bhagavad Gita verse 13:15, Sarvendriya Guna Bhasham Sarvendriya Vivarjitam. And it says that the super soul is the original source of everything, yet like he's the original source of all senses, yet he is without senses. And it also says that he is unattached, but yet he is still the maintainer of everything. So it's like how even though he's the source of everything, he's still unattached and he sustains everything that is in the material world.
So how could we attain such a sense of detachment from the material world since we're not really part of the material world, even though it seems like we may be very attached at certain times? How would we attain detachment? And please support your answer with Shastra.
We could be like in this world but not of this world. So we can whatever we're doing, we can like still relate it to Krishna's service so that we're not as attached to what.
Nicely stated, Mayuri. Can you give a verse that relates? Give a verse that says, by serving Krishna, then one acquires the asset of attachment, detachment from the material world. Call a friend. Do you know the second chapter of the Bhagavatam?
Yes, Maharaj.
Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita Janayat Yashavairagyam Yanam Cha Yadahaituham. Do you know that verse?
No, Maharaj.
It could be a good verse for you because whenever you mention that, what you just said in such an eloquent, beautiful way, you can add this verse at the end. Why don't you read the translation?
Yes, Maharaj.
The translation on the screen.
By rendering devotional service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, one immediately acquires causeless knowledge and detachment from the world.
It's so straightforward, direct. Isn't that nice?
Yes, Maharaj. Thank you.
That's yours to keep. You get to keep that one. Okay, Ritvik for the close, the real close this time. Ritvik, we can barely hear you if you're speaking. We get about 3% volume from you.
I have a verse from the Bhagavad Gita, which also supports the topic about God brings attachment from the material world. And it's 2.59. Vishaya vinivartante raharasya dehinaha rasavarjyam rasopyasya padam drishvani vartate. It means a person may leave material pleasures for a while, but the desire stays. Only by experiencing a higher spiritual joy or attaining Krishna, then the person truly does become detached from the material world. This verse practically says how God gives us detachment from the lower planets, such as the material world we're living in right now.
Okay, 20 points plus 5 points for Utsahan, but minus 5 points for a lousy mic because we could barely hear you. So you ended up with 20 points net. Net. Well done. I really like that. Excellent. Thanks, everybody. That was a rousing session, if you ask me. And it's nice to be able to just reference different parts of Shastra and different points and discuss it. And the more we do, the more conversant we become, and the more perspective we develop of the Shastra overall. And since Kartik finished recently, and hopefully everyone got a chance to offer a lamp every day. Did you all get to offer a lamp? How did it feel?
It was good, Maharaj.
Like, what do you mean by good? Good's a generic term. We can't understand it.
Well, Maharaj, it felt like every day we were serving Krishna more and we needed to hit that vow that we created. So we would always have some deity worship in our day.
Kind of like getting on a streak, right?
Yes, Maharaj, exactly.
It's fantastic. Thank you very much. Who else can say anything about their Kartik lamp offering experience?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Maharaj, I didn't want to interrupt you. If you had to say something, you can go ahead and then I can say.
No, I was just giving you a thumbs up.
Okay, sorry. So Maharaj, basically, Karthik was a really great way for the ending. Each day we do the ghee lamp as a family, and it's like it feels like that we actually have seva to do every single day during Karthik. And yeah, and then it's like it's a great way to get together with the family and do the ghee lamp offering. So I'd be playing the harmonium, my brother would be playing the mridanga. We do the Damodar Ashtakam, Narshingar Arti, and then do a little kirtan, sadhana and Nazda. And yeah, and then we also avoided something, so some type of me and my family, we avoided like sugar or flour or something for the Karthik month.
Fantastic. You were doing some heavy tapasya over there.
Yes, Maharaj, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks, Hamba.
Yes,
Great.
Maharaj.
Sia, how was it up there in Seattle with your Kartik?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. It was very nice because I feel like I got to do Damodarishkam very early in the morning and it was already dark so I didn't have to turn off a light. And just starting my day with so much more like chanting my rounds and doing arti and then ending my day with also doing arti, I feel like it helped me like focus my entire day around Krishna for that month.
Amazing. Yeah. How you, when you start in the morning and you have that solid morning program, gives you the focus for the rest of the day. And like Amba and family, they did in the evening. So, in the old days in ISKCON, we used to call it the ISKCON sandwich, that you start with a really powerful morning program and end with a powerful evening program. In the middle, you have all your seva. So you put it in two slices of bread. Rifik, how was your Kartik?
So my Kartik went pretty well. So I started off with Nrsimha Arti and I did Tulsi Arti next, and then I saved the best for last, Damodar Ashtakam, where we would play this one YouTube video of this person singing, I think it was Surya Prabhu, or whatever. It was a really nice thing, and me and my mom would gather here, and sometimes my dog would come as well to sit and do the diyas. It was very transcendental, and we all felt amazing.
What'd you do? Run out and buy a new microphone in the last 5 minutes?
So I switched to my phone.
Okay, it sounds really good. And I'm just picturing you, your mom, and your dog having a lamp offering ceremony, and it's very sweet. Thanks, Rivik. Let's do a little bit of Leelamrita. Can we go back to where we were and just continue a little bit? Because frankly, I was missing it. It's so nice. And fortunately, it's a big, thick book, so we can use that excuse to keep reading. I mean, that's not the excuse. It's just that it's so nice. That's the reason. And then you save a little time. Maybe we'll do this 10 minutes. And then I have a special presentation for today that I made for Youth Jam. I mean, it's something where I prepared elsewhere. I've spoken about elsewhere, but the slides were made specially this morning. What are we doing? Two each? I'll start. And Brajaras, cut us off in 9 minutes and 58 seconds, please. Chapter 12, The Journey to America. Today the ship is plying very smoothly. I feel today better, but I am feeling separation from Sri Vrindavan and my lords Sri Govinda, Gopinath Radha Damodar. My only solace is Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, in which I am tasting the nectarine of Lord Chaitanya's Leela. I have left Bharata Bhumi just to execute the order of Sri Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati in pursuance of Lord Chaitanya's order. I have no qualification, but have taken up the risk just to carry out the order of His divine grace. I depend fully on their mercy so far away from Vrindavan. Jaladuta Diary, September 10th, 1965. The Jaladuta is a regular cargo carrier of the Scindia Steam Navigation Company, but there is a passenger cabin aboard. During the voyage from Calcutta to New York in August and September of 1965, the cabin was occupied by Sri Abhoy Charanaravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami, whose age was listed as 69 and who was taken on board bearing a complimentary ticket with food.
The Jaladuta, under the command of Captain Arun Pandya, whose wife was also aboard, left at 9 a.m. on Friday, August 13th. In his diary, Srila Prabhupada noted, "The cabin is quite comfortable, thanks to Lord Sri Krishna for enlightening Sumati Moraj for all these arrangements. I am quite comfortable." But on the 14th, he reported sickness, dizziness, vomiting, Bay of Bengal, heavy rains, more sickness. On the 19th, when the ship arrived at Colombo, Cleon, now Sri Lanka, Prabhupada was able to get relief from his seasickness. The captain took him ashore and he traveled around Colombo by car. Then the ship went on towards Cochin on the west coast of India. Janmashtami, the appearance day of Lord Krishna, fell on the 12th of August that year. Prabhupada took the opportunity to speak to the crew about the philosophy of Lord Krishna, and he distributed prasadam he cooked himself. August 21st was his 69th birthday, observed without ceremony at sea. That same day, the ship arrived at Cochin, and Srila Prabhupada's trunks of Srimad Bhagavatam volumes, which had been shipped from Bombay, were loaded on board.
By the 23rd, the ship had been put out to the Red Sea, where Srila Prabhupada encountered great difficulty. He noted in his diary rain, seasickness, dizziness, headache, no appetite, vomiting. The symptoms persisted, but it was more than seasickness. The pains in his chest made him think that he would die at any moment. In 2 days, he suffered 2 heart attacks. He tolerated the difficulty, meditating on the purpose of his mission. But after 2 days of such violent attacks, he thought that if another were to come, he would certainly not survive. On the night of the second day, Srila Prabhupada had a dream. Lord Krishna, in his many forms, was rowing a boat, and he told Srila Prabhupada that he should not fear, but should come along. Srila Prabhupada felt assured of Krishna's protection, and the violent attacks did not occur. The Jaladuta entered the Suez Canal on September 1st and stopped in Port Said on the 2nd. Srila Prabhupada visited the city with the captain and said that he liked it. By the 6th, he had recovered a little from his illness and was eating regularly for the first time in 2 weeks, having cooked his own khichdi and puris. He reported in his diary that his strength renewed little by little.
Thursday, September 9. To 4 o'clock this afternoon, we have crossed over the Atlantic Ocean for 24 hours. The whole day was clear and almost smooth. I am taking my food regularly, and I have some strength to struggle. There is also a slight tacking of the ship, and I'm feeling a slight headache also. But I'm struggling, and nectarine of life is Sri Chaitanya Charitamrit, the source of all my vitality. Friday, September 10th. Today the ship is playing very smoothly. I feel better today. I'm feeling separation from Sri Vrindavan and my Lord Sri Govinda Gopinath Radha Damodar. The only source is Sri Chaitanya Charitamrit, which I am tasting the nectarine of Sri Lord Chaitanya's Leela pastimes. I have left Bharat Bhumi just to execute the order of Sri Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati in pursuance of Lord Chaitanya's order. I have no qualification but have taken up the risk just to carry out the order of His divine grace. I depend fully on their mercy, so far away from Vrindavan.
During the voyage, Srila Prabhupada sometimes stood on deck at the ship's rail, watching the ocean and the sky, and thinking of Chaitanya Chaitamrit, Vrindavan Dham, and the order of his spiritual master to go preach in the West. Mrs. Pandya, the captain's wife, whom Srila Prabhupada considered to be an intelligent and learned lady, foretold Srila Prabhupada's future. If he were to pass beyond this crisis in his health, she said, it would indicate the goodwill of Lord Krishna. The ocean voyage of 1965 was a calm one for the Jaladuta. The captain said that never in his entire career had he seen such a calm Atlantic crossing. Prabhupada replied that the calmness was Lord Krishna's mercy, and Miss Pandya asked Prabhupada to come back with them so they might have another such crossing. Srila Prabhupada wrote in his diary, if the Atlantic would have shown its unusual face, perhaps I would have died, but Lord Krishna has taken charge of the ship.
On September 13th, Prabhupada noted in his diary, 32nd day of journey. Cooked Bharti Khichdi. It appeared to be delicious, so I was able to take some food. Today I have disclosed my mind to my companion, Lord Shri Krishna. There is a Bengali poem made by me in this connection. The poem was a prayer to Lord Krishna, and it was filled with Prabhupada's devotional confidence in the mission he had undertaken on behalf of his spiritual master. An English translation of the opening stands as follows. I emphatically say to you, O brothers, you will obtain your good fortune from the Supreme Lord Krishna only when Srimati Radharani becomes pleased with you. Shri Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who is very dear to Lord Gauranga, Lord Chaitanya, the son of Mother Sachi, is unparalleled in his service to the Supreme Lord Shri Krishna. He is that great saintly spiritual master who bestows intense devotion to Krishna at different places throughout the world.
By his strong desire, the holy name of Lord Gauranga will spread throughout all the countries of the Western world, in all cities, towns, and villages on earth, from all the oceans, seas, rivers, and streams, everyone will chant the holy names of Krishna. As the vast mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu conquers all directions, a flood of transcendental ecstasy will certainly cover the land. When all the sinful, miserable living entities become happy, the Vaishnava's desire is then fulfilled. Although my Guru Maharaj ordered me to accomplish this mission, I am not worthy or fit to do it. I am very fallen and insignificant. Therefore, O Lord, now I am begging for your mercy, so that I may become worthy. For you are the wisest and most experienced of all. The poem ends. Today, that remembrance of you came to me in a very nice way, because I have a great longing. I called to you. I am your eternal servant, and therefore I desire your association so much, O Lord Krishna. Except for you, there is no means of success.
In the same straightforward, factual manner in which he had noted the date, the weather, and his state of health, he now described his helpless dependence on his companion, Lord Krishna, and his absorption in the ecstasy of separation from Krishna. He described the relationship between the spiritual master and the disciple. And he praised his own spiritual master, Sri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, by whose strong desire the holy name of Lord Gauranga will spread throughout all the countries of the Western world. He plainly stated that his spiritual master had ordered him to accomplish this mission of worldwide Krishna consciousness, and feeling unworthy, he prayed to Lord Krishna for strength. The last verses give an unexpected, confidential glimpse into Srila Prabhupada's direct relationship with Lord Krishna. Srila Prabhupada called on Krishna as his dear friend and longed for the joy of again wandering the fields of Raja. This memory of Krishna, he wrote, came because of a great desire to serve the Lord. Externally, Srila Prabhupada was experiencing great inconvenience. He had been aboard ship for a month and had suffered heart attacks and repeated seasickness. Moreover, even if he were to recover from these difficulties, his arrival in America would undoubtedly bring many more difficulties. But remembering the desire of his spiritual master, taking strength from his reading of Chaitanya Charitamrita, and revealing his mind in his prayer to Lord Krishna, Srila Prabhupada remained confident.
Nice readings, everyone. Well done. Boy, that's really nice, isn't it? It's like remembering Prabhupada's voyage and just hearing what he was thinking because he wrote it all down. It's a real treasure trove through every generation. Well, I have a little presentation for you all, and it's about determination. Decide, commit, become. A 10 principle guide to building unshakable determination. And I could do it in two parts because there are 10. I could do 5 and 5. So let's see how it goes. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuran Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Well, we're coming to a new year, right? Yes. And with that demarcation of a new year, it's a opportunity to gather our thoughts and our insights and develop some goals, which will be part of the system for developing determination. So nowadays, the world's literally built for distraction, not direction. And it's like a concerted effort to catch your attention from all sides. Of course, there's not just social media, but people advertise everywhere for the latest styles, ideas. I haven't seen too many billboards about Krishna. Most people start strong but quit early. And it's not from lack of talent, but lack of systems to stay determined. And my contention is that determination outperforms skill, luck, and motivation in the long run. And just to give you a definition of determination, which you might find helpful and interesting, is that determination has the word terminus in it, which means an ending point. And in one sense, it means to be able to finish something, finish what you start. Have you ever gotten halfway through a book and then left it behind and then noticed a year later it's still there? Or have you ever started a journal and then gotten 2 pages in and started a new journal the next year, and then sometime when you're organizing your closet, you find that you've got 10, 15 half-filled journals or several pages done? So the determination aspect has a lot to do with measuring how we're doing and staying on course. It's one of the symptoms of determination. This means go. So step one in the tenfold guide to developing determination is decide what you want and write it down, which means that you literally take time to think about what you really want to achieve. This is a good time of year to do it because we're coming into the final months. And by concentrating, doing some introspection, thinking about what it is you really want to achieve, and writing it down, you're manifesting it. And here's what I mean by that. Everything in this world begins in a subtle form, a seed, and then it grows in due course of time when it's nurtured. And so thoughts are things, right? Yes or no? They're just subtle. And what this person is writing in his journal, those are also things. Those are the thoughts that came out of the person's mind and heart, but now they're being transferred to the page. So which would you say is in a grosser form, the writing or the thoughts? You can always speak up if you want. The writing, okay, we're doing sign language, and I understood it. Yeah, so it's the same thoughts, but it becomes manifest on paper. It's on in ink form. And that becomes an abstraction of the things you were thinking about. So gathering information, setting a deadline for the goals you write down, and then committing to your choices. It's the first step. It's really powerful writing it down what you want and what you're trying to achieve. I recommend and will recommend later in this presentation that you look at it regularly. But even if you don't, this system of writing things down, deciding what you want and writing it down, it's very powerful. And the reason I had gather information is because of the word decide. It means you have to make choices. And when you find it hard to make a choice, it's usually because you don't have enough information. So if you take time to gather information about what you're thinking about doing, then it helps you make a decision whether to do it or not. Deadlines are vital because as soon as you set a deadline for what you want to do, then there's a sense of urgency. For instance, whenever I go away on a trip, especially the longer the trip is, the more thoughtful I have to be. And the more I feel the pressure of getting things done before I leave. I'm usually about 5 to 10 times more productive in the last week before I go away somewhere. Why? Because there's a deadline. Now I have to go. Let me get it done now. If I think my life is open-ended, which it isn't, then I may just put off things. But as soon as I write a date of when I want to achieve it, then I start feeling empowered to work towards it because I know there's an ending point. In fact, I have an app on my phone that measures, it's a countdown timer. It counts down from the time I designate that I want to finish something. And it's quite exhilarating to look at it and see, okay, I have this much time done. I also use a timer, physical timer. Forgive me if I've already showed you this before, but it's a simple device. I actually carry it with me wherever I go. And say, here's my 20 minutes. Once I set it on 20 minutes, I feel like I'm connected to a live wire because it's counting down. And that gives me that sense of forced efficiency. I'm working towards, it's like a competition almost. Like when you play a game and the time's going to run out, you economize your time even more. So setting deadlines is really exciting. And then committing. If you make a strong commitment to your choice, that's when you start getting the intelligence how to carry it out. So decide what you want and write it down. Decide what you want and write it down. Decide what you want and write it down. What's the first one?
Decide what you want and write it down.
20 points from Anya. Okay, let's see number 2. Assume it can be done. And this is based on the fact that we're not the doers. But if we have a worthy cause and we depend on the forces of the universe that originate in Krishna to empower us, we can assume that we can follow a process and we can achieve the goals that we set out to achieve. During the pandemic, we had pre-pandemic, we already set goals for the world to do 10,000 sets of Bhagavatams, which would have been 3,000 more than we did the first 2 years of Bhadra Purnima. And when the pandemic started in early 2020, I noticed there were 2 classes of devotees who we contacted about the prospect of trying for 10,000. Some gave all the reasons why it wouldn't be possible. Some of the reasons were there was a pandemic going on and that they couldn't go anywhere. But when we made it a law, we passed a law that you can't make excuses. You have to assume it can be done. And people tried that on for size, that just assume it can be done. We noticed that that's when the energy came in. And I'll tell you a quick story about where I, this is very noticeably in play. And it was a pastime with Prabhupada when he wanted the Chaitanya Charitamrita produced in 2 months. And my godbrother Rameshwar Prabhu told me, he gave me the inside scoop because he was in charge of the BBT at that time. And he and another devotee, disciple of Prabhupada called named Radha Ballava, those two ran the BBT, but Rameshwar is in charge. And so Prabhupada, on his morning walk, said he wanted the Chaitanya Charitamrita produced in 2 months. And Rameshwar said, but Prabhupada, that's impossible. And then Prabhupada stopped. He planted his cane and he said, impossible's a word used only in a fool's dictionary. It's a word in a fool's dictionary. And so then he walked on, and Rameshwar and Radhaballabha hung behind. They were stunned, really. And Rameshwar told me this, and it's in my book that I wrote called Our Family Business, that as soon as he accepted the order and assumed that it could be done because it was ordered by his spiritual master, that's when the ideas started coming about how it could be done. And he and Radhaballava started making a list of concessions they needed from Prabhupada in order to finish in time. One of them was about the paintings for the books, because that took the most time, is getting the paintings done and then photographed and then turned into prints for the book. So the other statement that's very helpful in spurring productive action in our lives is fortune favors the bold. Once we know what we want and we were bold about it and we move forward, then there's a statement by Goethe. Somebody put the name Goethe up. It's spelled differently than you'd think. It's German. He's a philosopher. It starts Goer, I think. And he said, as soon as you commit to something, that's when you get empowered to do it. Another way of saying that is the facility to achieve comes to those who start. You just start it. Don't think, oh, I'm unqualified, I can't do this, I don't have the resources, because we're not the doers. It's a higher power, it comes from Krishna. So assume it can be done. In fact, we turn this into a logo. You want to see it? All right, since you insisted. This is the logo. Assume it can be done. I have that on all my luggage. When I was getting off the plane the other day, somebody came up from behind me as I was getting off the plane and they said, great logo, man. We should all think like that. So number one is decide what you want to write it down. Number two is assume it can be done. Are you ready for number three? Or am I going too fast? What is your opinion, Trion?
We're ready.
All right, let's do it. You need an attitude. Of course, the last one was an attitude, but here are a few attitudes that have fueled action in the past. And we'll hear about them from the Bhagavatam. For instance, who in the Bhagavatam had the attitude that I'm sick and tired of mediocrity? What she actually said, and I just gave you a big clue, is that I'm sick and tired of my senses telling me what to do. I'm going to do, yeah, Manya, way to go. It's Devahuti. I love that statement by her. She said, I'm sick and tired of being harassed by my senses. Roger Ross will find it. And then I'm grateful. Actually, I had trimmed this down a little bit because I gave it as a corporate presentation the other day with slightly different pictures. But the I'm grateful to my guru, whose attitude was that most noticeably. I'll give you a hint. He was a boy, 5 years old. That's right. Pretty good, Mayuri, Bradrasma. Is a boy, and he was right in front of Krishna in the form of Nrsingadev, but he kept saying, I just want to serve my guru. Even though he was in front of Krishna, he didn't say, I want to serve you. Here's Devahuti. Thanks, Brajaras. I am very sick of the disturbances caused by my material senses, for because of this sense disturbance, my Lord, I've fallen into the abyss of ignorance. Or we might be spurred by a sense of selfless service. Actually, I had given a list. Hold on, I'm going to tell you the longer list. That's more matched up with devotees. Attitudes, here it is. We have Devahuti, I'm sick and tired. Now, how about Dhruva Maharaj? What was his attitude? Well, my mom used to tell me, she said, never underestimate the power of the attitude of all show them. Like Dhruva. He was disrespected by his stepmother. And he became so indignant at that that he just said, okay, I'm going to show everybody up. I'm going to get a kingdom better than my grandfather. Bharat Maharaj, what was Bharat Maharaj's attitude? His was, if I ever get out of this one, I'll totally dedicate myself. If you've ever made such a bargain. There's a story that I heard in an interview. He's a famous musician that you'd never heard of because you weren't born when he was popular. His name was Cat Stevens, huge pop star, rock star from the 60s and the 70s. And he became very wealthy, and he lived at a house around the beach in Malibu, California. He was by himself, and he went out for a swim at his own private beach, and he went further and further out until he realized he couldn't get back. The current was carrying him out, and then he panicked. And he said, he made a prayer to God, and he didn't even believe in God, but he made a prayer to the Supreme, and he said, if you get me out of this one, I'll dedicate the rest of my life to you. And a few minutes later, a little wave came and it carried him all the way to the beach. And after that, he became a dedicated person dedicated to God. So that was Bharat Maharaj. Gajendra, I need help. Please help me. Brahma, I'll leave this up to Krishna. So adopt an attitude. Attitude, I'll tell you what it means. An attitude is a settled way of thinking or feeling about someone or something, typically one that is reflected in a person's behavior. Okay, number 4. And get ready because I'm going to ask you for reflections or questions. Number 4 is choose deliberate practice over luck. Follow a recipe for success. Like when I first learned to cook when I was a kid, I got a cookbook. And then, especially in my family, everyone had to make bread every week. We had a cookbook called the Tasahara Bread Book. And every week, one of us kids it was our duty to make bread for the rest of the family. And I realized that if I just followed the recipe really carefully, I got great bread. And Similarly, there are recipes to follow for advancing in any science, any discipline, and certainly we have them in devotional service. So don't think things will just happen by luck. Don't leave it a chance. Find the recipe and follow it carefully. The next part of this is to get numerical strength. You have to do the reps. Just because you know the process doesn't mean you're going to be successful. You have to do the reps over and over again. And number 3 is associate with like-minded people, hopefully who are more advanced than yourself. And here comes number 5. Are you ready? Boom. Avoid distractions. If you want to be determined, know what's holding you back. It's very helpful to take an inventory of those things that hold you back. Sometimes someone might be reluctant to do that because they think, oh, then I have to give up the distraction. But think about this. Distraction is torture. Focus is nectar. When you get into the zone where you're able to fully absorb your mind in reading, chanting, you feel satisfied. When you're distracted, although it's a state of mind that we get used to, rajas, there's no peace. So figure out what it is holding you back and then make a list of those things that are distracting you. It's kind of like empty calories. Have you ever heard of that? What does it mean, Sia?
Maharaj, I've heard of it, but I don't know what it means.
Here, let's look it up. Here, I'll ask ChatGPT. That's the fastest way to do anything in my life. Okay.
Maharaj, doesn't it mean like eating something and not like using it?
Not exactly. What are empty calories? Means junk food, actually, because there's no nutritional value. Like Pringles, don't eat Pringles. It's a bunch of junk. Seriously. Empty calories are calories that give your body energy, but very little or no nutrients. They, candy, sugary drinks, pastries, cookies, cakes, processed snacks, Pringles especially. Hoping I don't get sued. Alcohol. Yeah, of course we don't take alcohol. Those types of things, there's calories, but there's no nutrition in it. So similarly, there's stuff we look at, read, whatever, and it's like empty calories because you don't really get anything out of it. So make a not to do list. You've heard of to-do list, right? Say yes. Now there's a not to do list. And the third is to ask this question regularly: what's the best investment of my attention right now? Where have you heard of that before? You better say in the book called The Four Questions. Okay, that's where it came from. I find it to be a very centering question to ask myself. It's so helpful just to stay in the moment, stay focused, and figure out what's the best use of my attention. That's 5. I'm not going to go to all 10 because save them for another time. So reflections or questions from this just for the next couple of minutes. Would you hear, feels he, Tarni Radha?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you so much for the class. I really enjoyed it. One of my reflections is actually when you showed the tag, the assume it can be done. Actually, I had that tag because a few years ago in 2023, I think, I came to your Jagannath Puri Yatra in January and I got that tag. So I kind of forgot about it because it might have gotten lost because we moved recently. But I thought this reminded me of that, and I was like, oh yeah, I have to assume it can be done because there's a lot of things I'm like, oh, this is really hard. I don't know if I can do it. But like, if I assume it can be done, then, and if I just like pray to Krishna, okay, this is in your hands. I'm gonna do it, but it's in your hands if I can do it or not. Um, I can assume it can be done because Krishna usually wants what's best for us.
Fantastic, Tarni Radha. That's amazing. You got it at Jagannath Puri. And thank you for the commentary behind it. Very helpful. Akshaj.
Hey, Krishna Guru Maharaj, I like the point you made about not, but to make a list of what we should not do. Because I remember hearing one of your classes, and after I heard the class, I realized like I should make what I should not do. I'm chanting, like not to get distracted, not check my phone, not talk to anybody. It really helped the next day when I was chanting my rounds, and like I was like remembering what you said. I was like, okay, I should not do this, should not do that. So it was like a really good
Yeah,
reminder.
it is because when you write it down, when you're conscious of it, then you're able to do it. Fantastic. Yeah, it's kind of what the 10 offenses are too. Part, let's hear what you got.
So the point that you made in your slide, your presentation, it said like decide what you do and write it down.
Decide
And
what you want.
yeah, decide what you want. So along those lines, I that really connected with me because I love to make a plan, and with a plan, you're very structured in what you do, and with that, if you execute your plan correctly, then since you had a structured plan, you'll have a structured execution too. So I really like that point and how it connected.
Nicely put, Part. It's
Thank you,
best part
Maraj.
of being a human being, right? You can be an architect of your
Yeah.
own future by planning things out, like you just said. Perfect.
And
Amba.
also, if you don't like write it down,
Yes.
then you won't be able to you don't know what you're doing. You don't know what you're gonna do. You're gonna be like all around the place. Oh, I need to do this. I need to do
Yeah,
this.
I recommend writing it down.
Distracted.
Get
Yep.
yourself a nice pen that you like. This one's a Uniball and excellent pen. I put all my goals for the year right here, back of my notebook. So every day I can start at the back and I can look, here's my main, what I decided what I want to do and wrote it down. And boy, I'm really in a state now because the end of the year is coming up fast and I got a lot of stuff to finish. In one way, it's daunting. The other way, it's exhilarating because I know what I'm supposed to do. Amba.
Maraj. So I like the way you described, like I loved your class today. It was really nice and inspiring to all of us and also me. I like the slides that you've made, and I like how you described each of them, like all of the different like four questions. I like the one like with the to-do list and not the to-do list. It's like it keeps me like organized, like to-do list, like what to do today and what not to do. It like keeps me like organized and like on task and like on time. So I'm like not like I'm not getting distracted or scrolling through my social media and that stuff. And then distractions was a really good one. It really inspired me. So like I don't like waste my time. I just stay on task and like use my time wisely.
Well
I
put.
really liked it.
Thank you very much. Excellent. We could compare notes too as we go forward with this
Yes,
later
Marge.
about how we're
Yes,
all doing
Marge.
with it.
Yes.
Okay. Now we have Arav representing the fine city of Atlanta, Georgia.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
I just was thinking about how profound this statement avoiding distractions really is. So, in just one example from my personal life, when was playing in a table tennis tournament last year, there was a person who was much better than me, and I should not have been, and which I was just kind of surprised that I won, and that was like from the assume it can be done. I wasn't assuming it could be done, and also I wasn't. Also, one example from spiritual life is I wasn't gonna. I didn't think I could do 16 rounds. When I'd heard it for the first time, how voluminous 16 rounds actually is. When I asked my mom that day in the temple, I said, "What is a round?" And she said, "It's the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra." She said that 108 times, and I said, "Okay, that's it." She said, "No, that 16 times." I was like, "Oh my goodness!" But
Yeah.
then, through the power of just assuming it can be done.
Thank you very much, Arav. Fantastic. Vivan representing the fine city of Dallas, Texas.
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Make him proud down there. Go ahead.
Really nice to have your association after a really long time, and this class was really amazing. I was even taking some notes. So, I think a combination like this is only half, but I'm pretty sure like all of the other principles will definitely mix with these also. But these five, at least in my like material life and spiritual life, Like implementing these five principles are gonna ensure that I'm able to get stuff done, and not only stuff that earlier I wasn't able to get done, that is gonna happen, but stuff that I was able to get done is gonna be able to happen faster. And that's really important because being efficient with your time is really important because right now we have so many tasks that we need to manage our time. Everyone has these concerns about, oh, I don't have enough time to do this. I don't have enough time to do that. I need to have better time management. But I think these 10 principles, if and they're really easy to implement. You just like it's just a psychology like barrier. You just have to implement them into your life and start thinking about them. And once that happens, then you basically unlocked a whole nother world. Like you're able to understand and progress through your life like with a really different aspect.
Thank you very much, Vivan. Well spoken. Now we have a conundrum because we have 5 minutes left and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So do the math. How much time you get? It's under 60 seconds. Go for it, mightily.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Maharaj, I really liked and I was thinking about the point of you should always like be deliberate and have a purpose and not like, be random and because I heard the saying of an empty mind is a devil's workshop because if you don't have a purpose then like you're not gonna achieve anything. So I thought like, and then a purpose that like I will like try that I've been like trying to implement in my life is that whatever I do, I should always try and like make sure that it's like directed towards serving Krishna, like or the Vaishnavas or Guru Maharaj, so that like I can like please the devotees and so.
Fantastic. I love that. Key to success. It's the best attitude. Okay, Advaita Chandra, representing the whole state of North Carolina.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. So nice to see you. Um, and thank you so much for that presentation. Everything you said today, I needed to hear, and especially through uh, a tough time academically for me, and then that too with sadhana, etc. I really needed to hear these. I needed to hear these reminders. And when it came to distractions, I was remembering. I was thinking of the point of procrastination. I remember some time back, you had said something on the lines of procrastinating our procrastination. That yeah, I'll do you later. Uh, we say we procrastinate our procrastination and focus on what you're doing, and eventually, when it's pushed back, then eventually we lose the desire for it. And I was thinking of that, and of course, this is something that was there up there theoretically, but now that I heard this and I took some notes, and I was remembering this point about distractions and kind of postponing them, I'll try to implement those practically. I'll try to act on them.
Thank you very much, Advaita. Actually, I called it applied procrastination, just like there's pure math and applied math. So there's procrastination and there's applied pure procrastination and applied procrastination, which you can procrastinate on the stuff that you really shouldn't do anyway. Okay, Shreyan's representing SD, which means
San Diego.
San Diego. This is a big responsibility. Go for it.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you for your wonderful presentation. That was exactly what I needed to hear. Because for me, I can like set a goal for myself, but the problem is I never get to complete it. I might say maybe write it down on a piece of on a notebook. Then I'd probably lose that notebook. Either I'd lose that notebook or like forget about it. Most likely lose it. And maybe like a year later, I'll find that and it's like, oh, okay, I'll start working on that now. And it'll just never, it just never happens. And now I think I'm trying to start like working on like getting like com completing what I started. Because like I start a lot of things that never finish. Like say I have like a lot of like half done Lego projects. I don't have a single fully done Lego project. They're all halfway done.
You're not alone, Shreyan. Everyone goes through that stuff. Fantastic. Well, if you lose your notebook, think about maybe getting a tattoo with your to-do list on your arm, or maybe just Mendy or something like that. Okay, here we go. We got 1 minute left, and we have one, two, three, four. So do the math. You guys maybe do calculus to figure this one out. Chaitanya Nitai Nam, please go ahead.
Hi, Krishna Maharaj. I just want to thank you for the really practical instructions. And as someone was saying earlier, this is applicable for both material and spiritual life. And I felt especially the instruction with having developing numerical strength is really useful, especially for everyone here who's in school at some point or another. It's like we are able to succeed in classes at school because we're not just doing the bare minimum in class, taking some notes, but also doing the homework, repetitive practice problems and such. I think that's the best use of this instruction as well in general, just having uh, all around exercising and practice with everything that we do. I think that's the best way. So thank you really for reminding us for that of that.
Miracle strength. Get your reps in and do them right too. Good job, Chaitanya Nitai Nam. Fantastic. Ritvik, make it fast. You got 20 seconds.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. So I was reflecting on the point where you said we lose our notebooks a lot and our journals that we start recently. I was thinking my life is like the journals, and the journals keep getting setbacks, and that's how our life goes. And then we never come back to those setbacks and never come back from them. But if we explore the path of Krishna journey, we'll end up writing in each of those journals.
Were you giving us a metaphor there somewhere about
Yeah, yeah.
you definitely have a poetical side to you, Ritvik. You keep it up. Okay, Sia, go ahead, representing the fine but very rainy city of Seattle.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. I think one of my favorite points from this class today, which was really amazing, was like if you don't have that full commitment, then those ideas will start coming once you have that commitment. And it makes me realize I have so many like plans, but since I'm not fully committed to them, I always complain to my parents that like, oh, I don't know how I'm gonna even do this, but like I'm not committed to them. That's why I can't come up with ideas. So
That's one
thank
of
you,
my
Maharaj.
favorite points, Sia, because there's a quote too that came from the first person who ever climbed Himalaya. And he was doing the takeoff from Goethe, the German philosopher, and he gave this long quote, which we can go into next time. Fantastic. Okay, Anushri, go for it. You got 2 seconds.
Hi, Krishna Gurudev. I really like the point where you said that you can have the knowledge, but you also have to put the reps in to get the result. And I feel like most of us, or at least me, I'm always stuck in this phase. Um, and it reminded me of like the quote from the Bible where it says, "The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak."
Mm.
And I think the practical advice that you gave, like writing it down, it helps it come out of just like the brain and making it physical.
Yeah, I don't know anybody who did more reps than you in the last Shastra Jam. You were always there on the call doing it, and that's what makes it stick after some time. Fantastic. Okay, Akshita.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you so much for the class. I think this presentation was definitely relatable for everyone, especially balancing the material and spiritual life. I really liked the point when you said you should maintain a positive attitude and like never think that nothing is impossible. And I like how you said the quote from Prabhupada from when he said that impossible is only in a English dictionary. Because sometimes, personally, I think that things are not possible, especially if I have less time to do it, or I just procrastinated the whole time and I never started doing a task. And I just feel like it can't be done. But you just have to keep that determination going. I have now understood that, and I will make sure to implement this in my life. So thank you, Reg.
Nicely put, Akshita. Fantastic. It's a great mantra to keep going. Okay, Mayuri, you're the close.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you so much. I think my favorite point was like adopting an attitude that fools your progress and assuming that it can be done. And I began thinking about like how like I play violin and we had this really hard competition coming up. It was over the summer and we had to spend months preparing for it. In the beginning, I thought it was gonna be like I probably couldn't like join, but I saw all my friends doing it, and they always would tell me that maybe just like think of it as not as hard and just simplify the music and break it down so that it's not seeming that it doesn't seem so overwhelming. So that really helped me like changing your attitude and assuming that it can be done because eventually that the competition was over, but whenever it was finally over, I saw that it was like very helpful
for helping me to build my determination, like whenever I could see how I overcame that task.
Yeah, it's an excellent example. Playing a musical instrument, especially violin, is very difficult. We got to hear you play sometime soon.
Thank you,
That
Margaret.
possible? We need a recital here. We're going to have to insist upon it. We'll have a talent day. Well, we went a little over time. My apologies to everybody. I know you've got things to write down, lists to make, and plans to solidify before the end of the year. And thank you very much for being here today. Nitai, sum up what we did today. What were all our activities? Just give a quick 10-second summary. What did we do?
We recited, we did a prayer, and then we recited Bhagavad Gita, and then we heard lectures, and then we read Veeramrit, and then we reflected on our on what we did, and then we're just like sharing what we learned now.
Well done, Nitai. I think Atlanta's got a strong showing here today. And Nitai, you get the award for Best T-Lock. Just FYI. Dear Srila Prabhupada, dear Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Shishi Panchata, and remember, nobody's better than Lord Chaitanya. Dear Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, dear Shishi Nitai and Gauranga, Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan, Shri Shri Radha Govinda, Shri Shri Radha Gopinath, Shri Shri Lakshmi Nrsingadev, Jagannath Baladev Subhadraji. If you so desire, please empower everybody who joined Youth Jam today, those who wanted to join but they couldn't make it, those who fell asleep and slept through it, that they may be empowered to develop great determination in their activities and in their devotional service. Thank you for considering our request. Om Tat Sat. Everyone agrees with this prayer in whole or in part. Please unmute and say Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna.
Panchakoshi
everyone.
Vita,
I'm
Kripa
getting
Previta, Kitanam
Hare
Pavinibhyo,
Krishna.
Vaishnavibhyo Namaha, Anantakoti Vaishnaviniki Jai,
Hare
Gopal Nande
Krishna.
Haribo.
Hare
Okay, go get them out there, everybody. This is the time. Go for it.
Hare Krishna. Thank you everyone for joining UTM. We'll see you next week at 3 p.m. PST.